What is going on, guys? Gus from Galley here. Hope you're all having an awesome day wherever you might be in the world. Today I am here because I would like to share a theory with you that I've been working on. And that theory is regarding the Emerald City. Now, for those of you who might not know what I'm even talking about, allow me to refresh your memory a bit. The Emerald City was first mentioned in chapter 224 during the Jaya arc in Mocktown by Bellamy during his meeting with Zoro, Luffy, and Nami. It was during his whole "the Sky Island isn't real" speech where he humiliated the trio for trying to get the Skypiea, which eventually, of course, proved to be real. During the whole speech, it was mentioned alongside the One Piece and the City of Gold, two places which have already been confirmed to exist. We've actually seen the City of Gold, and, well, the One Piece not being real would mean that Whitebeard is a liar and the whole series is a cop-out, so that's not bound to happen anytime soon. But both of these things are real, right? So would it be that far-fetched to assume that the Emerald City is also real? I don't think so, at least. Now, before we move on to the actual theory part of the video, let me just say that the purpose of this video is more to get the discussion going regarding the Emerald City, because that's something that I find very interesting in the world of One Piece because it's such a big mystery. The theory itself, I thought, had enough things that were interesting enough to make something out of, but it's not without its faults, and I will address some of the faults of the theory in this video as well. So let me know what you think, share your thoughts below, and let's move on to the actual theory. So the Emerald City is most likely a reference to the Emerald City in the Wizard of Oz story. The Emerald City in that story is where the wizard actually resides, and you could say it's the capital of the Land of Oz. Now, during the course of that story, the wizard is hailed as this almost godlike figure, but of course at the end he proves to be nothing more than a man who ended up in Oz several years ago. And in our world, he was nothing more than a traveling showman, but in Oz, he was able to trick them into thinking he was a wizard because he used all these tricks and gadgets to fool them. One could almost say that the wizard had technology at his disposal that surpassed the Oz technology to the extent that he was actually able to fool them into thinking it was magic. And while thinking of this theory, I thought that if there is an Emerald City in One Piece based on the Emerald City in the Wizard of Oz, then there's bound to be a One Piece version, so to say, of the wizard. And out of all the characters that we know of at this moment in the story, could be a completely new character, to be fair, but out of all the characters that we know of in the story at the moment, the one who came closest to fitting the mold is Dr. Vegapunk. And the reason for that is because, just like the wizard, Dr. Vegapunk is hailed as almost not really quite a godlike figure, but his mind is hailed as so far superior than any other, and his technology is hailed as being so much more advanced than any other scientist in the world. And also, we don't really know that much about him. There is this mystery to him, just like the wizard. So, if Vegapunk is the One Piece equivalent of the Wizard of Oz, and the Wizard of Oz resides in the Emerald City, where might the place be where we actually get to physically meet Dr. Vegapunk for the first time? The Emerald City. That's just the beginning of the theory. Now we move into the actual main part of it, which is where the Emerald City might be located. And I thought of three possible options here. Option 1. The knock-up stream. This one's pretty basic. It's just based off the fact that in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy gets blown away by this huge cyclone in the beginning of the movie, and that's how she ends up at Oz. And this cyclone that takes Dorothy to Oz bears quite a resemblance actually to the knock-up stream that takes the Straw Hat crew to Skypiea. It could be that there is another knock-up stream somewhere in the New World that eventually takes the crew to a new Sky Island where the Emerald City resides. So it could be up in the sky. But in my opinion, that would be quite repetitive. The Golden City was in the sky, and it's not really Oda's style, I think, to repeat stuff like that. So I have something quite different in mind. Option 2. The Yellow Brick Road. Once you're in Oz, how would you get to the Emerald City? Well, you would follow the Yellow Brick Road. When Dorothy winds up in Oz, she starts off in a place called Munchkin Country, and she's told that in order to get to the Emerald City to meet the wizard, she needs to follow the Yellow Brick Road, which begins at Munchkin Country and then eventually ends at the Emerald City. So I started thinking, if there is a Emerald City in the One Piece version, and there is a wizard, what would be the One Piece equivalent of the Yellow Brick Road? And the first thing I thought about was the road poneglyphs. And next, I thought it might be the Grand Line, and I ended up at the conclusion that it's kind of a combination of both, since they both kind of end up at the same place, that place being Raftel. I believe that if the Emerald City actually exists, it might just end up being at the very end of the Grand Line, where the road poneglyphs lead, at Raftel. Something that kind of adds to this theory is that both Luffy and Dorothy start their respective journeys in the east. Luffy obviously starts his journey in the East Blue, and Kansas aside, Munchkin Country, where Dorothy starts her journey and where the Yellow Brick Road begins, is the eastern region of Oz. Now, the biggest problem with this is that if Vegapunk is supposed to be the wizard in this theory, and is supposed to be at the Emerald City, and the Emerald City is supposed to be on Raftel, then that would mean that Vegapunk is on Raftel, and that's not very likely for two reasons. First reason, no one is supposedly aware of where Raftel is, aside from the people that have been there. Vegapunk might be an exception. He might have actually been there before. He might reside there now. But the second problem, and the bigger problem, is Vegapunk is a known associate of the world government, and it's not very likely that someone who works for the world government would be stationed on the very island where the One Piece is without the One Piece being seized. But here is the thing, we know next to nothing about Vegapunk. We don't know his true allegiance or his final goals. For all we know, he could be working for the revolutionaries. He might work as a government agent on Raftel to make sure no one gets to the One Piece as kind of a guardian. Or maybe the Emerald City is just not on Raftel. Or maybe Vegapunk's not supposed to be the wizard. This leads me into option 3, which is, it's just another island. Even if the Emerald City does exist in One Piece, it might not be in Raftel. It might just be on some island we haven't seen yet that ends up being heavily inspired by the Wizard of Oz story, where the Yellow Brick Road ends up being just a road on the island that the Straw Hats have to take to get to the Emerald City. And maybe Vegapunk is the wizard in that story, maybe not. It's not as fun as the Raftel theory, so I'll stick with that for the moment. The purpose of this video, like I said, was more to get the ball rolling on a topic that I feel is not addressed as much as it should be in the One Piece fandom. I believe the Emerald City is one of the biggest mysteries in the story, and it has intrigued me since day one. And if you feel the same way I do, and if you have anything you want to say regarding my theory, or if you have your own theory, please feel free to share it down below. I know we haven't posted a lot of videos in the last few months, but still, make sure to subscribe for more One Piece content like this. More is coming. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time to listen to this theory. Stay awesome, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.